8 o'clock on the East Coast, and that's what Miami looks like right now. Quite still at the moment, just a little bit breezy and the rain probably falling, or certainly has been. It was a little bit more breezy earlier, but Miami seems to have gotten away not too badly, it would appear. If you know differently, let me know. That's what it looks like out there right now. My name's Nathan Foy. I'm joined by the Skype team for yet another hour of coverage. And who do we have now? It's Lee, Hank, David, and Nathan Bell.
Yep.
How are we all this evening?
Terrific.
I will be I'm going to be a bit quiet during this hour because I remember that I have to finish my chemistry lab report. So I'll just pop in every now and then and just say something and then go right back to
I'm not doing too bad at all this evening.
Yeah.
Okay, we got Strat back in here.
Oh,
Strat
Strat.
Yeah.
I just want to give Nathan the floor for a few minutes. If you want to talk about the tornado activity that's been going on in Kansas.
Absolutely. Got an update on that. The tornado threat is going down. The good news is the tornado is going down. The flood potential, the hail potential, and the wind potential, that is now being concerned.
Oh, we've got feedback there. Something happened.
After these storms go through, temperatures will be in the 40s and maybe even 30s in the morning.
Really?
Oh my.
Yes.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Hurricane Matthew, let's see what we got here.
Yes, well, Matthew is still a 130 mile per hour storm. It's got a pressure of 939 millibars, I believe. And could anyone bring us up the screen share of maybe its satellite imagery or its radar or the track forecast? That would be nice.
I can do that.
Strat's here, yes, he's our go-to screen share guy. If it's not Hank, that is. Okay, here we
You
go.
got it.
Wrong direction. I'll just refresh. It's been a while. Just
Oh, I had it there.
get the latest frames.
Okay.
So there's Matthew. So they weakened it down to 130?
Yes, it's gone down slightly. Still approaching the coast.
Although I would assume that was closer to its actual strength.
You agree with that? Do you agree with the 130?
I'm not sure.
I mean, maybe a little bit earlier. Probably the closest to the eye, I would assume, might be a bit higher, but...
Strat, are you still showing your screen? Because it only appeared for a few seconds and went off again.
Huh.
Oh.
I did share it. I'll give it another start at.
Yeah, I thought,
Showing
hey,
up
it's
at all?
working, but then it's decided to stop working. How very strange. Well, how about we just go and restart that call over there, if that's okay, and I'll just talk to myself for a few moments. Well, I'm talking to everyone here on the stream, don't worry about that. I'll go ahead and bring to you the latest warnings that are in effect right now, whilst that's the case. So, we have a hurricane warning in effect for northwestern Bahamas, including the Abarcos, Andros Island, Berry Islands, Bimini, Eleuthera, Grand Bahama Island, and New Providence. Boca Raton to South Sante River, and Lake Okeechobee. A tropical storm warning is in effect for Ocean Reef to south of Boca Raton, Florida Keys from 7 Mile Bridge eastward, Florida Bay, Anclote River to Suwannee River, and north of South Sante River to Surf City. A tropical storm watch is in effect for Englewood to Anclote River. Everyone's back, and hopefully it works now. And if not, then it's the usual woes, I'm afraid, for Strat. Okay, we've got it. Maybe it'll stay for a bit longer than a few seconds. It is. Yeah. Yeah, I do wonder what it'll do. Do you have the radar there? Might be easy to look at radar right now. Hmm. Well, it's not me. Well, in the meantime, do you want to show us the latest National Hurricane Center forecast? Yeah, that's what we've been talking about. That's happened just a few minutes ago.
Millibars.
Oh, sorry, I was talking to myself
downgraded.
and not the Skype. I
Yeah.
forgot to fade you back up. You were talking to yourself for a long time. Oh, I was talking to myself for a long time, rather. Thanks for
wonderful.
reminding me. Put one on the chat.
I was just gonna say.
These things happen.
Well, with the new advisory, its pressure stayed, I'm pretty sure, the same at 939. And the max sustained winds, they actually downgraded to 130. Either way, it's still a very intense storm, and it's quite dangerous as well. I don't really think a 10-mile-an-hour sustained wind difference at that intensity is going to make much of an impact on the total damage that this storm does. In the track, nothing, they don't change until every 5 and 11, but just to note where the storm was located 8 minutes ago, just tipping along the Grand Bahama Island. And that's the forecast track, obviously. Been the same for the past 3 hours, up very close to landfall, gliding or paralleling the coast before turning back out. Although what degree it goes once it gets around here is definitely uncertain at this point. Although it doesn't seem like at all it's gonna hook back towards most of the southeast coast.
Okay.
I saw we could click on the watches and warnings, so I'll do that. Hurricane Matthew, let's see. Warning, advisory, let's see. No, it's just a lot of numbers and stuff. I'll just go to the public advisory to read it off. Watches and warnings right here. The hurricane warning has changed to a tropical storm warning from south
right.
of Boca Raton, Florida to Golden Beach. I actually didn't notice that, so good that I'm reading it. The tropical storm warning
does that
has...
include Fort Lauderdale then, does it?
I will check. It says from, let's see, south of Boca Raton. So I'll just look up.
I think that's
Boca
just higher than Fort Lauderdale. So
I'll just double check that for confirmation right now.
yes.
See,
David?
Looks like Matthew is wobbling.
Well, it
Yep,
doesn't know what it's doing right now.
so Fort
Could
Lauderdale has been downgraded to tropical
Yeah.
storm warning.
Could it be sort of doing a little bit of a stall over that western tip of Grand
Possible.
Bahama?
I'll run around to the last couple frames. It does seem to move slower, although it's still tracking out towards more of a northwest direction, just slower it seems, especially in the last couple hours. I guess I'll go back to watching the mornings. Other than that, tropical storm warning has been discontinued south of Ocean Reach, Florida to Chokoloskee. That's the area we circled just a little bit earlier. And the tropical storm watch has been discontinued south of Englewood to Chokoloskee as well.
Where's that at?
Here's the summary. the current watch of the morning is in effect. A hurricane
Where
warning is in effect for the northwestern Bahamas, including Abacos, Andros Island, Berry Island, Bimini, Eleuthera, Grand Bahama Island. This is the island which the storm is right next to right now. This is where the specific area getting the hardest hit. And New Providence Island. Hurricane warnings in Boca Raton to South Santee River and Lake Okeechobee. Tropical storm warning is in effect for Ocean Reef to south of Boca Raton. Florida Keys from 7 Mile Bridge eastward. Florida Bay, that's the Tampa Bay metropolitan area. And Cote River to Swanee River, north of
Florida Bay is not the Tampa metropolitan area. That's the in between the Keys and the Everglades.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's my fault then. And tropical storm warning also in effect of north of Santee River to Surf City. And a tropical storm watch is in effect for Englewood to Anclote River. Interest elsewhere in the Florida Peninsula, the Florida Keys, and in the Carolinas and Georgia, I guess, should monitor the progress of Hurricane Matthew. Just to actually go back to the visuals so people can tell exactly where the watches and warnings are, I'll just switch off to the 3-day track only. Here's the whole extension of watches and warnings that are going on. Northwestern Bahamas right here. Here's Florida Bay area. Tampa's actually in the watch area. That was my fault. I just missed it by a little bit, I guess. Tropical storm warnings down here. Large area of hurricane warning. So I know they only mentioned like a small, they only said like one line of like Florida necessarily, but that line stretches from north of Boca Raton all the way up through central South Carolina coastline, and a little bit inland for these regions as well as Lake Okeechobee. And then tropical storm watches or warnings extend up into southern North Carolina. So
where is the tropical storm warnings and watches canceled? Wasn't that the western part of Florida, right? The west coast of Florida?
Some of western Florida. I'll circle specifically where it was canceled. Right here, specifically, and then from here-ish up to here was downgraded to a tropical storm warning. So
apparently, I just found out that some friends of mine are in Disney World right now.
They should not be there because what's the time over there now, Hank?
It's
I don't know
8:13.
Is Disney World the one?
Disney World closed.
They should have closed by 5 p.m.
Disney World's the one in Florida. So
yes.
Yeah, they should not be there.
The closed, guys. That's what it should be.
Yeah, it really should be.
So first off, your friends are breaking the law. Second off, it's bad to be there anyways. With
I thought everybody would have been evacuated, or they would have been ordered to get out prior to the deadline, which was 5 p.m.
Yeah. I wouldn't say.
Like people in Florida. It just seems like people in Florida are being very disobedient when it comes to these evacuations.
It's a bit of a generalization.
Careful here, you're talking to a lot of them, you know. I just want to... There's no real good webcams that I can bring to you right now, so all I can really do is
getting dark,
bring you the audio in the background from St. Lucie and that area around there, and you might be able to hear the winds and rain getting up in the background, and it sort of gives us a little bit of an ambience here. But I can't find a decent webcam that I can use on the stream right now. I am aware that one or two are available and work during the night, but I cannot bring them to the stream, unfortunately. So,
I would assume it's a bit too dark.
Yeah, David, you're showing us this.
Okay, never-ending stream of buses evacuating Savannah, and hopefully this will work. And this is Mark Elliott posted by Twitter. So there's a convoy of buses departing Savannah.
Yes. So those are evacuating...
Under police siren too.
Yeah.
So those,
looks like
those
we
are
have some
evacuating people from the evacuation zones, I guess.
in Georgia. Looks like there's some backlash from the Floridians.
Uh-oh.
Don't worry, I think we're all right. But it is good that a lot of people from the Georgia coast and South Carolina coast are evacuating, I guess, as the storm gets ever so closer. Especially because this is probably one of the first times, at least in a very long time, that we've seen a storm approach at such a strong system from such an angle as well, and stall out kind of like it will be, hanging around for like a day and a half or so.
So
And
convoy. And
yeah.
and Mark Elliott, he's posted this 2 hours ago. When this is finished, Nathan, I have 3 NWS radars.
Ah, okay. Well, I'm going to take a short break from my desk here. So for a few moments, I'll let you guys do a little bit of chatter and whatnot, and maybe read out some comments or something, but I'll be back shortly personally.
And this is Force 13's rolling coverage of Hurricane Matthew, now impacting the Florida region. The threat is
There we go.
not
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, it's been rolling coverage for over 72 hours now.
Yeah, 70.
and it's not going to disappear. It's going to hang around, and we'll continue to monitor it.
Yep.
And this is the radar. And, yeah, you can see where Matthew is, but guys, do you think it's tracking northwest or northerly?
It looks a bit northwest.
Northwest.
Probably a little closer to northwest than northwest, but it's tenuous path regardless.
Port St. Lucie right now, they're under a little dry pocket for the second time this evening, before getting into a huge rain band that's probably going to last them all rest of the night, as that one's going to come in.
And
I'll be looking at the
like
question.
a severe thunderstorm in some place.
Yeah. There was actually a pretty beautiful image that we saw. Beautiful yet, frightening image that we saw. David showed it earlier of that really ominous cloud approaching Miami.
Oh yes.
That was actually quite spectacular.
Yep. And,
yes, it was.
And yeah, Nelson, I see the question. You are correct. It has been downgraded to a tropical storm warning in Fort Lauderdale.
And I can see why.
Marine warning.
Yeah.
For Miami up to not all 3/4 way to Port Lauderdale. Now we'll switch over to that radar.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see, I'll just zoom in on this one a little bit.
Let's see. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I'm pretty sure Nathan reiterates this every once in a while. Type in Force 13, 13 as letters, not numbers. That way, for him at least, it pops up highlighted.
And for everyone
and,
else, I don't know.
I'll do my best to keep an eye.
Does it show up for you highlighted when they do that?
No, it shows up for you, but
for
as for me, I'm keeping an eye out for good questions as well.
So your eyes are better than mine then.
Now, I don't know the intensity scale. It's in dBz, not up on its definition, but you can see where the activity is. The yellow, the red over to the north of Orlando, down Bell, then Fort Myers, so you can see when it was Melbourne.
We got a question from Captain Crafter. What model is the most accurate for Matthew's direction at this point? Ooh, that's interesting.
Ooh.
Surprisingly,
Really, all the ECMWF, GFS, CMC, and HWRF pretty much all agree.
Yeah. I would say though,
which is
exactly.
the only landfall it makes is in Cape Canaveral.
Yep. Although I would say very surprisingly, the Euro model has been particularly accurate in being one of the first to forecast that it would stay closer to the Florida coast and, like, you know, slow down really. And then also was one of the first few to actually forecast the loop as well. So, handed out to them.
The Euro really is a model to watch in October.
Yeah. And M&M Productions, I did see your question. I'm pretty sure Kathleen, Florida is under a, I'm not sure if they're under a tropical storm watch or warning. You might want to look that up on the National Weather Service yourself. But if you're there, and you hunker down for the night, you should be fine.
Yeah. But the ECMWF really is the models to watch in October. They got Sandy right, they got Joaquin right, they got Karen right. All these storms are relatively unpredictable. They're really the only ones who had a solution, which seemed really odd, but they always got right.
And guys, what do you think is the radar image currently on the screen?
Yeah, we're looking at that.
It's not looking good.
Well, I gotta say, looking at that radar imagery here, you can hear the rainfall in the background at St. Lucie, and you'll hear it getting worse before long, because those rain bands are gonna reach the shore, and they're pretty bad ones.
Someone's asking about storm surge about right in Melbourne, Florida. I guess I can pull up the storm surge map again. Take this map with a grain of salt, because this is if it happens at high tide, and this is also a prototype model as well. I'll zoom in Titusville in particular before sharing the screen. And there we go. Actually, Titusville's looking better than earlier in terms of forecast storm surge. Earlier, there was actually a lot more reds than it's showing now. Right along here, should be particularly worried. Red's greater than 9 feet.
I've seen it.
A lot earlier, I was actually looking like this whole area in general is red, but now it's just this little scope. But keep in mind, orange is still pretty dangerous. That's greater than 6 feet above ground in terms of storm surge if it hits at high tide. And this area is forecast to have the strongest storm surge at high tide as well.
And you can hear in the background now some rain really letting itself unleash over St. Lucie right now. I might have to consider turning the volume down. But I want it to be sort of raw here, where you can hear everything as it's happening in the background.
Herbal, the video is in St. Lucie. I heard, I saw Can't Stump the Trump say earlier that there's already squalls in St. Lucie of 50 miles an hour. I'm not sure if that's confirmed. If anyone wants to check that.
And people who are wondering, I could show you the video, but when I do,
it's a bit dark.
It's a bit dark. I mean, I could show you the video, but let me show you what it'll look like. Hold on.
It's interesting to see in the morning if that dock will be still there.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see.
The sound is like it sounds really good. The rain in the background.
And I just saw someone ask, what do you think about Orlando for tonight? Do you know what time Matthew will fit near Titusville? Well, let's see, 8 p.m. Probably, as people are in, I mean, they're going to be feeling the effects all night and into tomorrow until at least, you know, the evening and into the night on Friday.
There's what St. Lucie looks like right now. Not much to see, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Just 3 little lights out there. And warped lights at that because of the rain on the camera lens.
Yep.
No, maybe we should do a vote if people want to see this or want to see other stuff. You tell me.
Yeah, I see some people asking about timing, so do we want to put the track, like the forecast track map up and go over the
good
timing
idea.
for when areas be worst hit. I guess I can pull up. I'm gonna shift it back to the 3-day cone first, of course.
Okay, I've got breaking news.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, related to Matthew, it's been reported. I think it's the TV station in Florida, South Florida. CBS 12 News is reporting that the Vero Beach PD is to shut down all bridges to westbound traffic. Police are urging people to evacuate the barrier island now. That is breaking news. Repeating,
Is that
Vero Police PD will shut down all bridges to westbound traffic, and they are urging people to evacuate the entire barrier island now.
Is that Titusville? That like little stick out island there? Because I'm not completely sure. Do you know exactly where that is?
I'll just
David, I've also sent you another link that you might want to show us on the screen share in a few minutes. You might enjoy it.
Yeah.
Certainly
For
shows
now.
you something.
Yep.
But look at this. Strat, tell us about it.
Looking at the timing of the storm, as of 8 p.m., so almost 30 minutes ago, it was right here, just on the very western tip of Grand Bahama Island. The worst for like West Palm Beach in general, that strip of land, will probably be around 2 a.m. Friday. That's when it'll get to its closest approach. Titusville, particularly concerned for that area. That closest approach was actually going to go straight over that little island extension there. Will be probably right around noon on Friday. Looks like almost even a landfall. It's kind of hard to tell, though. When it happens, we'll be able to tell whether or not it's actual landfall. Jacksonville should be into the afternoon, into the early evening. That should be the worst timing there. Most of Georgia should be late Friday night into early Saturday, or into most of morning and Saturday. And South Carolina, at least the areas under hurricane warning, the worst of the storm will be probably around start of the afternoon on Friday into the late afternoon. I know some of the IR simulated satellite images from the models are trying to shear the storm heavily and pull lots of rain up into the rest of South Carolina and North Carolina. Too early to tell, so that could be a problem for Sunday in particular.
Okay, let's get some questions. I've been hearing that Matthew will make landfall briefly in Canaveral, or that it will hug the coast. What's the general consensus? Well, general consensus is that it will do either of those things. I think it could. It's sort of trending more that it will hug the coast and maybe not make a landfall, but it doesn't detract anything from the storm, because hurricane conditions, even major hurricane conditions, could still be felt along the coast, all along there. But let's see.
I'll support that.
David, do you have anything for us?
Yeah, apologies for the crackle in my microphone. Okay, I'll bring up the screen share. Nathan, I have that content on that link that you provided.
Joey Rimmon says, I live in Fort Lauderdale. Is it getting better? It could be soon, but not yet. Melissa Zimmerman says, also as of 6 p.m. all water was shut off to Barrier Island.
Wow.
That is not good. So that's a developing scene to the Barrier Island region.
Anyway, take a look at this one, David.
Okay, this is what's being provided by WPEC CBS 12, acknowledging their content. and you can see the power flashes, and it
Crikey.
is a transformer that has
Oh,
exploded
you can
on
see the lights on the
Australian
side as well,
Avenue.
flickering in and out. Crazy.
So we'll go
Do you know
back.
where in particular that is?
Yeah, well, I
Says
would actually like to know.
Mangonia Park, Australian Avenue, ironically. David.
Victoria Park. Well, considering
Well,
I'm here in
that
Australia, I can't help on the local knowledge. But so that's just an example of how Matthew is severely impacting, and unfortunately, I do hope that it stays offshore, because if it makes landfall, this seems it's going to worsen.
We lost the sound
Yeah.
briefly on the webcam that we've got. Obviously, you can't really see much from it, which is why we're not really showing it so much. But we can really hear the wind and the rain getting up right now, and I think they're seeing some really inclement conditions. Could someone please get up the radar again and see what's going on in that area?
Yeah, I'll try to find it. Although, you're talking about Barrier Island, how they cut off water and stuff, and are really trying to get people out of there. That area is, as I said, that particular, thin island chain that's very close to sea level. That's a pretty concerning area in particular with this storm, I guess.
So there's Fort Lauderdale there under some sort of marine advisory, I think.
Advisory or
regulating
warning?
the volume of the webcam in the background, because it is going to drown people out when we're talking, because it's getting so violent by the sounds of things. Can't see anything. And if you just go up north there... Go ahead.
On my stream, we're getting thunder over here, so if people are hearing like a rumble, that's me, because we're getting near that cold front I was talking about earlier for Kansas City.
I think David has the radar up.
Let's get more... Yes, that's right, there it is. Let's get more questions. Any ideas on what Sebring can expect? I believe they're still under a tropical storm warning, and that will probably be the case. Tropical storm conditions. I doubt hurricane conditions greatly. Some people saying Grand Bahama weakened the storm. Not sure. I think it's a coincidence, but it is weak. It did weaken slightly. Fort Lauderdale is pretty much in the clear except for West Palm Beach, possible direct hit, says Andrew 1010. Fort Lauderdale is not quite out of the woods yet, but it will be before too long. West Palm Beach, maybe not a direct hit, but West Palm Beach is going to have very rough conditions very soon, and you'll hear in the webcam at St. Lucie that it may well get pretty bad there as well. We'll be keeping on top of this throughout the evening.
A guy named Chance Crossland, he's got a question. He says, any ideas on what Sebring can expect?
Yeah, I mentioned that one. David's going to the satellite imagery. I was going to ask him to do that anyway, so that's nice. Environments tells me Orange County got a curfew 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. Saturday. Not sure if that's confirmed. Kelde says, how likely is Matthew to loop back and hit Florida again, and how hard would it hit? At the moment, indications suggesting that it is likely, though the storm may not be particularly strong when it comes back around, but it's too uncertain yet, and it won't be until the end of next week.
That's correct.
And I think I've covered everything from a few minutes ago. And more questions coming in all the time. I live in Orange County, it's confirmed, yes. Is the eye falling apart? Well, I don't know. What do you guys think, looking at that?
No, unfortunately.
Is that the sound of Orlando in the background? He's there somewhere, very faint.
Yeah, I just got back from running some errands earlier.
Yeah. I actually have a satellite with some of the wind gusts of the storm in the past 8 hours on southern Florida. If you guys want me to pull that up, it's quite an interesting thing to watch, actually.
Okay.
Alright, I guess I'll pull it up just to...
Yeah. David, keep that imagery there and we'll come back to it a little later.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'll go back to the start before resuming. This is back 16:15 UTC, so a little after 2 o'clock Eastern. As you can see, the numbers changing as time goes by. Some actually show pretty high numbers, although I'm not sure about the accuracy for all of them. You can see 60 right here at the end. Yeah.
I doubt that.
Actually,
Otherwise the National
wind
Hurricane
gusts,
Center would have said it.
not like sustained gusts.
Yeah, but they had wind gusts of 47, I believe, is the highest they've recorded so
I'll
far.
double check it. This was 2340 UTC, so this would be right before 8 o'clock.
Interesting.
Like I said, questioning the accuracy because it's 83 down here. Might be knots, actually. I'm not completely sure.
Nah. 83 where?
Yeah.
No,
Right here.
It won't be 83 there.
Yeah, probably not that accurate, but I thought it was still interesting.
I don't know what it does mean, though. It can't mean wind.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's your black screen showing the webcam at St. Lucie. I know that there are webcams available that do show more than this, but I wanted to bring you this mainly because of the sound. But in the meantime, we'll leave the image up of the National Hurricane Center's graphic. And David, you might want to bring up some satellite imagery views again.
Oh, I had the wrong numbers. I was showing the percentage chance of tropical storm force.
Oh, goodness. Blunder right there.
Yeah, I guess I'll pull it back up to actually show the accurate version, I guess. This seems a lot more accurate, 24
That's right.
and
Better.
stuff. That seems a lot more reasonable. As it goes by, putting something up there, the end of the loop 42 up around here in terms of gusts. So this is 7:45 Eastern. Down and up the coast, you can also see pretty decent gusts, although I'd assume they continue to intensify as the night goes on.
Wi-Fi Pack says, so a possibility it will go inland and not follow the track. Yes, there is a possibility. Anywhere in that white cone is where the center of the storm could travel. So yes, it could definitely go inland, and it means that it could stay inland all the way to South Carolina, or it could stay out to sea and not make a US landfall at all, which would be interesting. But at the moment, it's looking like, well, to be honest, it seems too close to call right now.
You can't really tell other. I'm pretty sure it was Hank yesterday. He said he had an app, and based off of the track, they said it was a land, like just barely a landfall out there near Titusville.
That's what he thinks, but you look at that latest track, and you look at that latest track, and the storm's gone east of forecast.
Yeah.
And wait till you see the 11 o'clock update, I guess, and we'll see what the National Hurricane Center says then.
If you put on the track line, it's super close.
Nathan, have a look at that.
I think one or two people asking, will it look at what?
The water vapor and the track.
Oh, we don't have it there, David.
What's the possibility of it moving inland? It's, I'll just say it's not moving in. If it does go inland, it's not going anything further than southern South Carolina. It's definitely not going to Ohio. And this storm is not going to merge with Nicole at all, Andrew. You are right, though, that it could head back to Florida due to high pressure forcing it that way, but merging with Nicole is definitely not going to happen.
Some funny comments.
Why is that showing up two tracks?
It isn't. It's the end of the track. It's very confusing. It's showing the storm going northwest, but later on, the tropical storm icons on the right-hand side there, which is where the storm's not going yet, is where the storm's expected to be by next week.
But look at where it's going to be Cat 4, 7.
Aaron Macklin says, will it have time to before land interaction? I'm assuming intensify, and assuming that you meant that, but the Gulf Stream is right there, and all that we have to say about that is Hurricane Andrew, which did manage to intensify from a Cat 4 to a Cat 5 in those waters off the coast of Florida. It could intensify. Whether it will or not is a debatable question, and that's why, I guess, that's why we're here. Half the reason why we're here. The other reason is to answer your questions and cover the storm's effects, but we're here to tell you if the storm's intensifying, and you can hear the rain intensifying in the background at St. Lucie.
If I recall, I just saw something like someone say that, like, you know, the storm's not weakening, it's expanding its wind field. Do you guys agree with that?
It's looking decent in those latest frames,
yeah,
I gotta say.
It seems like Craig's prophecy is coming to life then.
And maybe they were a little bit wrong to bring it down to 130 miles an hour. They might put it back up to 140 again.
Yeah, and regardless, it does look like its wind field will probably start, you know, boosting up in size in general. And Herb activist said, as you may know, I'm next to Cape Canaveral on Barrier Islands. If we get landfall, what should I expect from the eyeballs?
Strong winds, heavy rain, really high
also
surf.
Storm surge
well,
as well.
I'll tell you what you'll expect. Listen to this and multiply it by 10 or 100. That noise. It did sound worse a moment ago, and I thought it was still sounding bad, but the rainfall is really falling at St. Lucie by the sounds of things. But in all seriousness, along that area, the surge will be significant if it's along the eastern coast. What were they looking at now? Maybe 5 feet, something like that, for that area?
Big swath of 6+ feet there in general.
Not right,
but that
Cape
is the
Canaveral,
prototype,
though.
so
Mm.
yeah.
So you'd recommend about 5 feet. Could be some heavy rain. Well, there will be. If you're thinking about worst case scenarios, then it could be quite terrible. Just when you're in hurricanes, make sure that you're in the safest room of the house or the building. If surge is an issue, a potential issue for your actual location, you might want to consider going to a higher floor, or at least relocating to a building that's higher or something to that effect. And then find the safest room of the house, the sturdiest room of the house, ideally an interior room, and that's something definitely to do if the exterior rooms of the house start to become a little bit frail or worrying.
Yeah. I saw someone comment on rainfall saying 5 to 10 inches. We can say yes from
Generally,
about Boca Raton northwards,
especially on the coast,
all the way through all of the Georgia, South Carolina, and most of the North Carolina coast too. Actually, 6 to 10 inches of rain. A good stretch from coastal Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina is 10 to 15, and that 4 to 6 inch also extends inland, probably past Orlando as well. So lots of rain is expected with this storm. I think one of the most iconic parts of the storm that'll go down when we're looking back at it is the over 1 meter of rain that it dumped on Haiti.
We don't even know, to be honest, how much, but it's...
I don't really want to know in the end either at this rate.
Its effects have been really terrible, and I don't know if David has any news on that right now.
Yeah. Someone asked Force 13, what is the tornado risk? I saw actually the tornado potential map is actually now part of the advisory with Hurricane Matthew.
I just want to respond to Wessler, who said, I heard you
yes.
do not want to enter a high-rise building in a hurricane. I don't know if they're responding to me saying that you might want to get to a higher floor if there's a surge. I'm not saying by any means to use a high-rise building, only to go at 1 floor maximum, because, you know, if a surge really becomes an issue, you might end up being, you know, it's happened before in the past where people have been rescued from their rooftops, and it's not just Katrina that has those examples. So it could get to that stage, but I don't know in reality. But that is why I guess seek refuge on the bottom floor, but make sure the first floor is accessible if you do need to go in a hurry, because if water surges into your house, it can come in much quicker than you anticipate.
Yep,
Most
and
definitely.
to just answer the question quickly about tornado risk, all of east coast of Florida and right up to around Tampa and the inland areas in between do have a marginal tornado risk, so keep an eye on all the weather updates. Is there a large chance? Probably not, but it's still something to watch for sure.
Definitely, because spin-up tornadoes can happen real quick within a hurricane.
Yep. And Camp Stump of the Trump says CBS 12 reports the storm will probably be 25 miles off the coast, lower chance of landfall. I think we've all been saying that too early to tell for sure if this thing makes landfall. If it has even a little track wobble with the eyes, because the center eye still looks pretty small, it could definitely make landfall.
I think David's showing this imagery right now. David, if you scroll up a bit and just scroll up a bit right now and click onto the up arrow, which you'll find, you could get the radar further north, and it might also show the storm's eye.
Yeah, because what radar are we looking at here?
That must be out of Miami. That must be out of Miami.
This is the Melbourne one.
Yes, let's take a look at this, and we'll probably... Oh yes, it's just coming onto the coverage now.
Important statement from... You said there's also an important statement from the Weather Channel. Oh wait, no, that's from a while ago, my bad.
Yeah, that's about, what, 3 hours ago.
Yeah, I was looking the wrong part of the chat. Someone's saying the winds high where they are have to get out of here 118 miles an hour. It's kind of, if you're really in that situation, it's kind of probably a bit too dangerous to really move.
Are they speaking hypothetically there?
I don't know if he's being completely serious or not.
I should hope so, because the only place receiving those kinds of winds right now is Grand Bahama.
Yeah, I would hope it's hypothetical. If it's actually serious, then definitely stay where you are. And just try to cover yourself up and try to get as low as you can to avoid winds. As soon as you see water, you have to make sure the upper floor is accessible, just like Nathan said earlier.
Is the hurricane going to affect Pompano Beach, Florida? Well, it's probably at its worst right now, and well, there will be some more rain bands coming in, and I'd say the worst of it is between now and maybe 2 hours time, and then the storm will begin to clear. So that's when it will get better, late tonight into the early hours. Interesting question. Is one side of the eye more tornado prone than the other? Maybe the only thing I'd suggest is that probably the eastern side is more, just because there's more convection there.
Yeah. Although fortunately that side's going to stay offshore, it seems.
Maybe.
Let's see. Two comments. First one, fortunately, the guy that said he's in 118 mile an hour winds, he said it was hypothetical, so that's good to know. The second one is from Cheryl Keaton saying, I have heard the storm is expected to come up to North Carolina. Is it expected to hit Virginia Beach or no?
The
I
south. Go on.
I was just going to say, track-wise and warning-wise, it should not get up to Virginia Beach. Probably see a little bit of rain, I would assume. Southern parts of Virginia and southern tip of Delaware, or no, that's Maryland, are in the roughly 1 to 2 or 0 to 2 inch range. So maybe a rain, but not big impacts.
Stephen wants to know about our subscriber count during the storm. Well, it's not the first thing I look at, I can tell you that. It's nice to acknowledge that a lot of people have followed us recently, but our number one priority is to keep track of the storm. But yes, it is up more than 1,300, I believe. but our primary focus is to track the storm, and if people subscribe to stay up to date, that's certainly recommendable, and we will obviously be continuing to give you the rolling coverage of the storm if you stay right here on the live page, and hopefully we won't have any more technical issues like we had early today.
I'll say 2 more questions.
Let's talk to Nathan first.
Yeah.
He's not had a chance for a while.
Yes.
When is the next hurricane advisory for this storm? Isn't it like 10 o'clock?
Yeah, next full
They're giving,
advisory is at 11 o'clock.
But they are giving positional updates every hour.
They are indeed.
2 quick questions. One of them's a simpler one. Another one's also, I mean, a simple answer, but it is interesting to answer. First one's from Mari Sleds asking if we can get inland storm surge. Definitely yes, especially with Lake Okeechobee in particular, right, guys?
Say that again.
Yes.
Sorry, I wasn't.
Mari Sleds asked if you can get inland storm surge, and I said yes with Lake Okeechobee in particular.
Yes.
You agree with that, right?
Yes, and I'm not sure about the
Because
other...
you can still get the water.
I'm not sure about the many other lakes in central Florida.
Yeah, it's
there
just
are a
Okeechobee
hell
is
of a
definitely the
lot
biggest.
of lakes in central Florida. I don't know whether surge could become an issue there or not, in all honesty. More questions then.
Yep.
When will Matthew be impacting the Savannah Tybee Island, I think it is, Georgia area? Well, that's not going to be till the weekend. So we're looking at, well, maybe Friday night into Saturday. Obviously the warnings are coming out already, and you should be preparing for it, especially if you're on the coast. But even inland, if you're in the evacuation zones, the mandatory evacuation is in force. Evacuate. And Captain Crafter says, did you read this one out? I don't think you did. To add on to the question about the eye on tornadoes, is one side of the eye more dangerous than the other? In this instance, I'd say the eastern side of the eye is more dangerous, but the western side is still dangerous, and will be, if it gets much closer to land, very, life-threatening, and probably already is if you are going out in the storm and not using common sense right now.
Exactly. Nothing.
Yeah, I was just going to say, in particular, with hurricanes, the northeast quadrant and eye wall in particular tend to be the strongest as well. Not always the case, but that's a trend with cyclones in the northern hemisphere.
Other people want to know about St. John's River, as requested by Gaming Hell. I believe St. John's River has got significant amount of surge posted for it, so there could be significant surge on St. John's River. Can't quite remember where it is, but I remember the details.
It's a little bit inland, but it's generally the area of Daytona Beach. It's a good
there are flood warnings.
It's a good 5 miles inland.
There are flood warnings for that area as well. Another question about Jacksonville, what to expect. Hurricane force conditions quite likely in Jacksonville, but particularly Jacksonville Beach is somewhere to be concerned about. Storm surge could be really significant. Same for Daytona Beach and all the areas around there. Could be bad up there for storm surge. Erosion, almost a certainty for the whole coast beyond, probably beyond West Palm Beach, maybe even further south, I don't know. But erosion looks like it's going to occur significantly.
Yes, I will say, in terms of storm surge warnings, this is also the prototype storm surge warning, but it's not predicting how much there will be. It's just whether or not you're in a warning and watch, all the way from Boca Raton up to central Charleston, where the hurricane warning extends to and ends, transitions to tropical storm warning. That whole area and all the coastal areas around it, and some inland rivers stemming from Jacksonville a little bit further south are under storm surge warnings. The area in a tropical storm warning from northern South Carolina and the very southern edge of North Carolina are under a storm surge watch.
Okay, coming up to 5 to 9. David, any news?
Flood watch remains in effect from 8 AM EDT this morning through late of Friday night. Flood watch continues for a portion of northeast Florida, including the following areas: Clay, Coastal Duval, Duval, Coastal
Keep going.
Nassau, Flagler, Inland Duval, Inland Nassau, Putnam, and St John's from 8 a.m. EDT this morning through late Friday night.
Okay.
That's one report. I'm just trying to find out some information on that weather that was mentioned. St John's severe weather.
Yeah, there is a flood
watches
warning
and-
there. I think we got down to the bottom of that,
So,
David. We're going to take a short
that's the
break
only
now. This is Force 13 Live. We'll talk more about Hurricane Matthew after this short break. Back at 9 o'clock with a position update from the National Hurricane Center. Stay tuned.
There you go.